Blessings, beautiful beings. Thank you so much for joining me today for this final yoga class flow, whatever you want to call it, that I'll be recording for 2021. If you would like any props, I would suggest some blankets, or if you don't have yoga blankets, you can use towels. Also, some blocks. If you don't have blocks, that's okay too. You don't necessarily need them. You can also use any bigger books or anything like that that you might have lying around. Um, and then if you have a bolster or a pillow, you can grab that too. Otherwise, I will meet you on the mat, and we are going to start out in constructive rest pose. So not sitting up or anything like that. So go ahead and come down to your back and just take your feet firmly on the ground, knees bent. And we're just going to take a few moments here to get grounded and centered. Fritz doesn't quite know what's going on because normally we don't start out in this posture. Do you want to say hello, Fritz? um, so your hands can be on the floor, just resting gently at your sides. You can bring your hands to your stomach. You can bring one hand to your heart, one to your belly, just whatever feels comfortable to you. And we're going to just take a moment to focus on our breath. If you'd like to set an intention for this practice, you can. This is a good time to do that. Or if you want to use this time to reflect on 2021 and just everything you've been through, everything you've gained. Or you can look forward to 2022 and think about your goals and what you want to achieve in the upcoming year. If you'd like to close down your eyes or soften your gaze, you can. I'm just going to spend a few moments here just breathing. Getting ourselves centered and ready for practice. And really feeling into our bodies. I know the past few years since COVID, they've been really rough on a lot of people. I'm no exception. But at the same time, I like to look for what I learned and the things that I gained instead of focusing on what was lost or what was hard or difficult during that time. And if I did go through a rough patch in 2021 or something unpleasant, I like to use this time at the end of the year just to look over that situation or whatever it was and really look to see what I learned from that experience. Every experience you have, good or bad, is really a learning opportunity. And I like to thank it for whatever lesson it gave me and then let it go. I don't want to carry any negativity or bad feelings or hurt, anger, stress, worry, anxiety, any of those things into this new year with me. So my intention today for this practice for myself is to release the old so that way I can make room for the new, exciting, fun, joy-filled, loving opportunities that are coming my way. And I'm grateful for those future experiences now. When you're ready, you can slowly start to flutter your eyes open. Maybe you rock your head side to side, just maybe wiggle fingers and toes, reawakening up the body since we were there for a moment. And when you're ready, we're going to bring the knees into the chest. And then go ahead and give yourself a little hug. Wrap your arms around your knees. Maybe you have one knee. If you have two, it's knees. Really give yourself a hug. You made it through another year. It may have been challenging. It happens ups and downs, and you're still here. You're alive. You're well. So really appreciate yourself and your body for that. It's a big feat. There's a lot of people that we lost this year. Your body kept you alive, kept you going, kept you breathing. And that's something that should be celebrated and thanked and given gratitude about. If you'd like, you can peel your nose up to your knees. You don't have to. If you want a little extra stretch in the back, just whatever you feel like doing. Then when you're ready, we'll slowly release the feet back down to the mat. Now from here, go ahead and bring your right knee in towards your chest. And you can grab, if you can grab the outside of your foot, go ahead and do that. If not, you can grab a toe, you can grab your ankle, you can grab your pant leg, just whatever you're able to reach. And whatever you're able to grab, go ahead and kick the sole of the right foot up towards the ceiling with your knee bent at a 90-degree angle. So if you're in the full posture, usually both feet are in this general shape. It's called happy baby. We're doing kind of a half happy baby, just a kind of a stirrup posture to start to open up and warm up through our hips. We store a lot of emotions in our hips, so sometimes if they're feeling cranky or anything like that, it's because we're working through some stuff that needs to move out. So we're going to work to do that today. That way we are leaving any old crap behind. We don't want to take that with us. We can set down that baggage here on the mat. That way when we walk out into real life and into the new year, we're fresh, we're open, we're receptive. And again, if you can't grab your foot, you can grab your ankle or just anything that feels right to you. After your next exhale, go ahead and return that right foot back to the mat. We'll just take a little breath here. And then when you're ready, we'll go ahead and do that on the other side. So I'm gonna bend my left knee in towards my chest. Then again, you can grab the outside of the foot, toes, ankle, pant leg, whatever you're able to grab, and we're gonna send the sole of that left foot up towards the ceiling. Oof, and this side for me is a little bit more tight. But notice that difference. If you have something similar, if one side felt differently than the other, just acknowledge that. It's not good or bad, it's just is. You can go ahead, if you do have a side that's tighter, you can send breath down to it as you breathe. And really focus on releasing that tightness, that stiffness, that anything that doesn't serve you, really. Your hand can be on the floor. I like to keep my hand on my belly because I like to breathe into my hands. I like to feel that rise and fall of my belly. That's just a personal preference, though. You can do whatever feels right and natural to you with your hands. All right, when you're ready, go ahead and set that left foot on the mat. And then from here, let's go ahead and bring our knees back into our chest. We're going to have a little bit of fun. Go ahead and cross at the ankles and grab your feet. If you can reach your feet. If not, you can grab your shins or ankles. And from here, we're just going to rock and roll up to the top of our mat. You can roll up and down your spine a few times. I like it. It feels good on my spine. But then you can rock yourself all the way up to a nice seated position. And then we're going to go ahead and come through to all fours. Now, if that's not accessible to you, you can roll to one side and then push yourself up to a seated or to a seated position and then come to all fours. Do what feels right in your body, but you can try it out to see how it feels to you. All right, so once you are in a tabletop position, so your knees should be underneath your hip points, hands underneath your shoulders. You can look forward, just straight down at the ground. And we're going to warm up our spine. So those of you that have practiced with me several times, you know where we're going. We're going to go into some cat-cows. So on an inhale, go ahead and drop the belly, lift the chest, lift the tail. And on the exhale, round through your spine, dropping your head, dropping your tail. Big exhale. Inhale, come through, lifting the tail, lifting the head, looking forward. Exhale, rounding through the spine. Go ahead and do a few more, just on your own breath. And if one posture feels better to you, like cat, like I'm in now, stay there for a breath or two. Or I was in cow, this is cat. And we'll go ahead and do one more. So on an inhale, we're going to drop those lower ribs, lift the chest, lift the tail, look forward. Exhale, rounding through the spine, coming into that cat pose, feeling the back body stretch. All right, when you're ready, we will return to a nice tabletop position. And then from here, we're going to start to turn on our core a little bit, warm up our legs and arms a little bit more. So, whenever you're ready, walk ahead a little bit because I'm going to hit that back there. I'm going to stretch out my right leg. Now just go ahead and take it right back behind you. Now you can rock a little back and forth, just stretching out your calf muscle a little bit. And once you've had enough of that, go ahead and bring it to stillness, and then we're going to lift that foot up off the floor. Keep the toes dialed down. Keep the weight spread evenly in between your hands, and then when you're ready, and actually, if you'd like to stay here, if this is far enough for you, stay here. If this is a little bit too much, you can keep your toes on the floor, just extended. If this feels good to you, stay here. If you'd like a little bit more, reach or lift the foot up off the mat. If you'd like to go a little bit further, you can take your left arm and hand, send it out in front like you're shaking someone's hand, and breathe. Keep your spine nice and long. One more breath here. Inhale. Maybe stretch a little further. And then on the exhale, go ahead and lower everything back to that tabletop position. Take a breath here. You can kind of sway or rock or do any movements that feel natural in your body today. And then once we're back to stillness, we're going to go to the other side. So I'm going to send my right toes, or my left toes out. And then if you like, again, you can rock back and forth, kind of warming up that calf muscle a little bit, feeling a little bit of a stretch. If you'd like to go a little further, bring that to stillness, and then you can lift those toes up off the mat. Make sure your toes are pointed down towards the mat. You don't want them splaying out or anything like that. We don't want to turn our hip out. And breathe. If you'd like to go a little further, go ahead and take your right hand, reach it out like you're shaking someone's hand. And then you can kind of balance between the two sides and breathe. Turning on that core. And if at any time this feels a little bit too much, then you can drop down. One more big inhale, reach a little further. And then on the exhale, let it all go. Return back to that tabletop position. Again, take any movements that feel natural to you. All right, and then when you're ready, we're going to bring our knees as wide as the mat, big toes to touch. Look forward on an inhale, then on an exhale, sink your hips back. You can walk your hands forward and melt your forehead down to the mat, coming into an extended child's pose. And we'll just breathe here for a moment. We'll take one more inhale here. And then on the exhale, look forward. We're going to make our way back to that tabletop position. All right. From here, let's walk our hands, just one handprint in front of where they were so they won't be directly under our shoulders. Then we're going to tuck the toes under. So we'll take one nice big inhale here. And then on an exhale, lift up through the hips, straighten through the legs, sending the hips up, back, and down, coming into your first downward facing dog. Now you can walk your dog by bending one knee and then straightening the other leg. So just kind of going back and forth, just going on a little walk. Just warming up through those calves a little bit more. Feeling that nice stretch in the back of the legs. Then when you're ready, go ahead and bring that to stillness and breathe. On your next inhale, go ahead and look forward. And then on the exhale, you can make your way to the top. Now you can take little baby steps if you'd like to start, just crossing one foot in front of the other. Otherwise, you can hop, step, jump, float, whatever you feel like doing. And this is where if you have yoga blocks, you can go grab them. Make sure to keep a little bit of a bend in your knees here. On an inhale, come up halfway, flat back. And then on an exhale, go ahead and let it all go. Feel a nice stretch in your hamstrings. Again, if you're not quite warmed up, you can use blocks to bring yourself up a little bit and feel that stretch. You should not be feeling it in your back. It should be in your hamstrings. So if you need to bring yourself up a little bit, it's okay to do that. Keep breathing. Wherever you are at, go ahead and make sure that your hands are placed firmly on the mat. If you need to bend your knees a little bit more to make it, that's okay. And then from here, we're going to step our right foot back and then bring that knee down to the mat. You can untuck the toes. So we're going to come into a nice low lunge here. So you want to keep your chest nice and lifted. You can come up to the fingertips. Again, if you have blocks, you can use blocks. Make sure that your left knee is at a 90-degree angle and that you can still see your big toe. So you might have to push your knee out a little bit. And then look forward and breathe. You should feel a nice stretch on your right side, on that right quad. One more big inhale here. Exhale, let it go. And then when you're ready, go ahead and tuck the right toes under, lift that knee up, and then you can kind of rock forward and back, and you're gonna step that right foot up to meet your left foot, coming back into that forward fold. From here on your next inhale, come up halfway, flat back. Exhale, let it go, coming back into that forward fold, and we'll breathe here for just a moment. All right, after your next exhale, we're going to go ahead and step our left foot back. Bring the knee down to the mat. You can untuck the toes. From here, make sure your right knee is at a 90-degree angle. Your hands can be on the mat if they reach, or you can come up to fingertips or blocks. Just make sure your chest is nice and lifted. Or if you'd like, you can even come up higher if it's in your practice. To come up all the way, and you can put your hands on your hips. Up to you. You have options here. Just make sure you're not rounding through your center and collapsing. You want a nice, strong upward current of energy here. And breathe. Don't forget to breathe. All right, we'll take one more inhale here. Exhale, let it all go. Go ahead and plant your palms to the mat if they are not already. We're going to tuck our toes under, lift through that left knee, and then you can kind of rock forward and back, and then step your left foot up to meet your right foot, coming back into that forward fold. Your next inhale, come up halfway, flat back. Exhale, let it all go. Forward. You can shake your head and neck loose if you'd like. Make sure to keep breathing. From here, go ahead and make sure that bend your knees really super generously. So we're going to bring our thighs almost kind of parallel to the floor, and we're going to come into a chair pose. So it's going to be like you're sitting down. I'm going to back up a little bit. I don't recommend that. That wasn't fun. So make sure your chest is nice and lifted. Now you can stay here. You can bring your hands to heart center, or if you'd like, you can reach your arms forward. We're just going to breathe here for a moment. Imagine you are hovering on a porta potty. It's crowded. It's at a concert. You don't want to sit on it. It's nasty. One more big inhale. And on the exhale, straighten through the legs. Come up to standing. Loop your shoulders up, back, and down. We're going to come into a nice, strong mountain pose. Go ahead and fix your clothing if you need to. Your feet do not have to be together. They can be hip distance apart. Nice lift up through the chest. You can close down the eyes. Have your hands by your side. And just take a moment here to breathe. Just getting really grounded in your strong mountain pose. Feel that energy coming up from the earth, through your feet, up your body. And then take what you need from that. Whatever you don't need, let it drip down your back into the earth. Go away so it can be repurposed and transmuted into something else. All right, so now that we've warmed up the body a little bit, let's bring our feet a little bit wider than they were. They don't have to be super wide, but just a little wider than they were, maybe a little wider than your hips. And we're going to do some knocking on heaven's door. Those of you that have practiced with me before, you know where we are going. If you have not, we'll walk through it. So, knocking on heaven's door, we're going to just start swinging our arms from side to side, coming up onto that ball mound of or even our big toe. So you're just going to, swing side to side. You can even bring your hands to just like smack your booty in the front of your hip, bending through the knees, smile. And we'll just move back and forth and back and forth. I'm not crazy. This is actually also used in Tai Chi and Qigong. I think they call it something different though. But what this does is it breaks up any stored energy that you might be holding on to in the body. We've got a little bit more flow to do after this before we come back down to the mat. So let's just break it up. Woo! And you can get a little crazy there like I just did and come off your mat. Maybe even do a circle. Completely up to you. Just keep breathing while you do this. You can speed it up. You can slow it down. You can even bring one fist to your chest, one to your back. As you do this, completely up to you. And you don't want to hit yourself real hard, just kind of a light tapping. You can laugh at yourself if you feel silly. It's okay. I'm sure I look silly doing this. And let's start to slow it down wherever you're at, bringing the arms away from your body, starting to slow it back down. You can bring your feet back in, and we'll come into mountain for just a moment to breathe and feel that rush of energy go through you. All right, let's do a little bit of flow. So you're not at the top of your mat. Go ahead and go back to the top of your mat. And then from here on an inhale, reach your arms up overhead. Make sure that you're not using your shoulders aren't becoming earrings. Keep your shoulder blades back and down. Coming into a strong volcano pose here. Breathe. Take one more big inhale here. And then on the exhale, float your arms down, shift back through your hips. We're going to come back down into that forward fold. Inhale, come up halfway flat back. Exhale, let it all go back into your forward fold. We'll take a moment just to breathe here. All right. Now, whenever you're ready, we're going to step one foot back and then the other foot, and we're going to come into our first plank today. Now, if this is too much, you can lower onto the knees. Just make sure you have a nice angle, I guess, in the front to where you're not like in a tabletop. You want a little bit of an angle, but you don't want to drop your hips all the way down, and you don't want your butt all the way up either. So just a nice angle if you do that. Otherwise, you're in your strong plank pose, shoulder blades going left to right, pushing back through the heels, pushing your arms away from the floor. Breathe. And then wherever you are at, go ahead, drop your knees to the floor, untuck your toes, and then lower slowly onto your belly. Take a nice inhale and an exhale, letting that go. And then we're going to bring our hands underneath our shoulder in line with our rib cage. On an inhale, slowly peel your forehead up off the mat, looking forward. So we're coming into a little baby cobra. You'll have the opportunity to go into a full cobra later. We just want to warm up our middle and upper back here. Breathe. Take one more inhale here. And then on an exhale, go ahead and lower your forehead back down to the mat. Now from here, we'll go through some other options. For this first one, go ahead and push yourself up to all fours once again. And then when you're ready, we're going to tuck the toes under, take a big inhale here. And then on an exhale, lift the knees straight through the legs, shift your hips up, back, and down, coming into our downward facing dog. Take a couple breaths here. One more big inhale. Exhale to let it all go. And then on your next inhale, make sure that your left foot is firmly planted into the mat and you feel really steady on it. We're going to lift our right leg up, coming into a three-legged dog. It doesn't have to come all the way up. It can make sure your hips are still pointing down. And then on an exhale, we're going to shift our weight forward, bend that knee into the chest, and then step your right foot in between your hands. From here, we're going to step our left foot in a little bit at a 45-degree angle. Keep a nice right 90-degree bend in your right foot. And then on your exhale, go ahead and shift up. Bring your torso up. So your feet should be on parallel train tracks. You should be able to see both of your feet. Your right foot or right knee should be at a nice 90-degree angle. Make sure that that knee is pointing out towards your pinky toe and you can see your big toe. And then your left foot can be in a little bit, just turned out towards the left edge of your mat. From here, you can keep your hands on your hips, or if you'd like, you can reach your arms all the way up, coming into our Warrior One posture. And breathe. You can also keep your hands at your heart center. Listen to your body. Pull your right hip crease back. Left hip crease should be pointing forward, so you're kind of in a little bit of a twist, but not completely. Take one more inhale here. Then on the exhale, go ahead and lower your arms down. Step your left foot back. We're going to come into kind of a high lunge pivot on that foot. And then go ahead and bring your hands down to your mat. So we're going to come into kind of a lower lunge here. Now you can lower your knee if you'd like, or you can leave it lifted. Go ahead and plant your left foot or your left hand towards the inside of your right foot. And then from here, you can extend your right arm up and twist towards that right leg, the right side of your mat, coming into a little twist. And breathe. Take one more big inhale here. And on an exhale, lower that right hand to the mat. We're going to step our right foot back to meet our left foot, coming into a plank once again. Take just a couple breaths here, bringing some heat, some fire. On your next exhale, go ahead and lower all the way to the floor. You can drop your knees first if you'd like. Untuck your toes. And then on an inhale, you can rise up into your baby cobra, or if you'd like a little more, push through your hands, straighten through your arms, come into full cobra. Make sure that your hips are still on the ground. You don't want them up. Make sure that your shoulders start coming up to your ears, so you want your shoulders up and back. And if you feel any stickiness in that lower back, you can lower down. You don't have to come all the way up. So go to what feels comfortable to you today. And breathe. Take one more big breath here. And then on an exhale, go ahead and lower it back down towards the floor. All right, from here we're going to tuck our toes under. Now you can come up to all fours to a tabletop position. We're heading to downward facing dog. Or if you're warm and you want a little bit more, go ahead and push yourself up. So we'll take an inhale here. And then on the exhale, we're going to push ourselves up to that plank. Breathe here for just a moment. One more inhale here. And then on an exhale, we're going to shift our hips up, back, and down into our downward facing dog. And then just breathe. Shake your head out if you need to a little bit. Take one more big inhale and exhale here. Maybe side it out. And then on your next inhale, make sure that your right foot is firmly anchored into the mat. And we are going to lift our left foot up. On the exhale, go ahead and bend through the knee, shift forward, look forward, and we'll step that left foot in between our hands. Step your right foot up a little bit, keep it on the angle. Inhale, and then on the exhale, go ahead and rise up into our warrior one on this side. And make sure to keep breathing nice and strong here. Hands can be in any of those different places. Extended overhead. If you do extend them overhead, make sure you're not rolling back, so make sure you're still nice and strong. You're not coming up. And breathe. Do your next exhale, go ahead and lower your arms down. We'll pivot on that right foot. You might need to step it back a little bit. And then when you're ready, let's go ahead and lower our hands towards the floor, coming into that lunge again. Breathe. When you're ready, go ahead and place your right palm on the mat towards the inside of your left foot, and then we're going to turn towards the left. And again, you can extend your left arm up towards the ceiling. If that doesn't feel good, you can just keep it here. Make sure that your neck is in line with your spine so you're not collapsing and you're not straining. It should just be nice and line. Lots of ease. It's a nice little twist. You can even turn to look towards your fingers if you'd like. One more inhale here. And on the exhale, go ahead and return everything back to center. And we're gonna step our left foot back to meet our right foot, coming into our final plank for today, so make it a good one. Push back through the heels, nice and strong base. From here, you can lower all the way down to your belly, or if it's in your practice, keep your elbows in really close. You can lower down into a chaturanga, and then up to an up dog. Now in an up dog, your hips are gonna be up off the mat. My thighs aren't touching the mat, I don't know if you can see or not. Breathe here. I'll take one more breath. And then on an exhale, make your way to downward facing dog. If you're an up dog like me, I'm just gonna turn my toes under, and then I'm gonna shift my weight up, back, and down, coming into that downward facing dog. Whew. And breathe, shake it all out. Take one more breath here. Then when you're ready, we'll lower our knees to the mat, come off our wrists a little bit. Go ahead and bring your knees as wide as the mat again, big toes to touch. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, shift back, coming back into that extended child's pose. We're going to start to cool it all down and breathe here. So take a few seconds. Just slow your breathing, calm your heart rate down. Maybe stop sweating if you started sweating a little bit. Take one more big inhale here. And on your exhale, just let it all go. All right, when you're ready, we're going to go ahead and shift forward. You can come to all fours, and then go ahead and make your way to a nice seated position. We're going to bring our knees just out in front of us here, and then come up and sit nice and straight and tall here. Just my pants again. Keep pulling down. So keep your back nice and straight, and then you can plant your hands down at your sides. Just breathe, focusing on our posture a little bit. Now from here, go ahead and reach your arms all the way up forward. Nice big inhale, and then on an exhale, go ahead and come forward. Now, you may not be able to touch your toes here. Go to where it feels comfortable to you. Try and keep your back as nice and round or flat as you can. You might even maybe bend your knees to bring your feet up to you a little bit. And then you can work to straighten them. We'll take one more big inhale here. Lift up halfway. Exhale, let it all go. We'll breathe here for just a moment. You can even bring a bolster right here if it feels good to you. So like I have this guy here, or a pillow. You can bring that here, and you can use that to kind of just rest on too. You feel a nice stretch in your back body, and a nice stretch in your hamstrings. Take one more big inhale wherever you're at. And on the exhale, go ahead and come back up to a nice seated posture. All right. From here, we're going to work on our hips a little bit more. So you'll bring your feet in to touch, the soles of the feet will touch together. So we're coming into a cobbler's pose. Now, if your knees don't go all the way down to the mat like mine do, that's okay. I'm very flexible. So you can take blocks, you can bring them underneath your knees to bring the floor up to you, or books, pillows, blankets, anything you have like that can help to bring that floor up to you while you are working on flexibility. So wherever you're at, go ahead and just take a few moments here to breathe. If you'd like, you can even give yourself a little foot massage while we sit here. Give yourself some love, some care. And breathe. It's very quiet today. Haven't seen a Sam yet. Alright, so we have one final resting posture. So wherever you're at, you can go ahead and lean back. You can cross the legs. For now, we're going to go into more of a restorative Shavasana pose. And if you don't have, just getting my blocks out of the way, if you don't have any props, that's okay. You can go into just a regular Shavasana corpse pose. If you have props, so I just want to show you some stuff that you can do. So if you have a bolster or a pillow or some blankets, you can throw it kind of down towards the one end of your mat. If you have a blanket or a pillow or anything like that, you can just kind of triple fold it. You can bring it to the top of the mat. This is going to be for your head. And I do have another blanket, but Fritz is currently laying on it, so I'm not going to disturb him because he's sleeping. So I'm going to let him sleep on that blanket. But if you have another blanket, you can use it to cover up with if it's chilly. It's cold here. My heat is just kicking, so I'm a little warm. But normally I like to curl up with a blanket, kind of burrito myself. Now, if you are using a bolster, you're not going to want it like under your knees like this. You're going to want it more in, so it's supporting your thighs. So you can bring that underneath your thighs if you have that, or you can just roll straight down, and then you can make your way down to the mat. You can use your little blanket as a pillow. And again, if Fritz was not laying on my blanket, I would be covering up with it. And then from here, you can just let your feet go, let your hands go. Close down the eyes. And take this moment and just feel the nutrients of your practice marinate through your body. Maybe you remind yourself of your intention. You set one at the beginning of class. Or just take this moment to relax. It's been a long, busy year, coming towards the end of it, and we're getting ready to start a new year. So taking this time to pause and reflect and to give ourselves some love is an awesome thing. And give yourself this chance to just be in gratitude for yourself and for the care that you give yourself. All right, I'm going to go ahead and go quiet for a little bit and let you relax here. And I will be back momentarily to bring you out of the pose when it comes to that time. For now, just close your eyes, rest and relax, and focus on your breath. So the card I chose for practice today for this final practice was Wombat Spirit. And its message is be at home. It says, could it be that you're not feeling comfortable in your own skin? Thinking that the only way you can be with others is to hide under the protection of a mask or identity you created to protect yourself from getting hurt. This mask or persona is supposed to make you look strong, but it really just robs you of your integrity. Wombat Spirit arrives to nudge you to drop the false masks because it is not others who will hurt you now. It is you who are hurting yourself when you aren't being authentic. It's okay though. You can course correct if you are willing to be yourself no matter what comes. Even if others are not in agreement with your authenticity, you are safe with Spirit. If you would like to stay in Shavasana, then stay as long as time allows. If you need to get going and get on with the rest of your day, then you can slowly start to deepen your breath. You can wiggle fingers and toes, just bringing life back into them. And when you're ready, you can slowly place your feet on the mat. And then when you're ready, go ahead and roll over to your favorite side. You can bring your bottom arm underneath your head to support it just as a pillow and just breathe there for a moment. And when you are ready, go ahead and push yourself up to a comfortable seat, bringing your head and neck up last. And finally opening up your eyes. So thank you so much for joining me for this practice, this last practice of 2021 that I'm going to record. Thank you so much for your support over this last year and for sharing your practice with me and your energy and your time. I really appreciate it. Please, everyone, make sure that you have a safe and fun new year. And I look forward to practicing with you in 2020. I wish you all the best health, wealth, and just authentically being yourselves. So let's go ahead and bring our palms to our heart center. Namaste.